What we offer is a jackpot platform that allows operators to create a jackpot that is their own. And the jackpot is a side bet. So it's not part of the game. It doesn't take anything from the RTP of the game. It is an additional side bet. That's what allows operators to, first of all, bring something that runs on the strength of their brand. Players already trust the brand, and now if they're bringing a jackpot that is branded as part of the operator and not just a game provider, players will have that trust.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Connected. Today is a big day. First off, a couple things I wanted to say is we've done a few of these now. This is maybe episode number 6 or 7 that we've recorded, and maybe not all of them are out yet, but they're coming out. We're getting some really good feedback, and I want to thank everybody that's watched episodes of Connected and for giving me the feedback that we're getting. We're taking everything to heart, and we're going to get the right guests on and have the right sort of discussion. So thank you so much. But the second reason today is a big day is because we're talking to Peter Maresh from ThrillTech, who is not only a great inventor and designer of some really cool products through the years, and what you're going to talk about today, ThrillTech is one of them, but he's a good friend and someone that I respect highly and have worked with for many years and been a friend of for some time. So Peter, so good to see you.
Likewise, Ashton. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. That's
no,
great.
Honestly, I'm always interested when we talk because it's not only what you're actively working on, but the ideas that are cooking in your head about what you want to do next. And the way that all came about and has turned into what is today ThrillTech, what you guys are doing in terms of side bet and jackpot technology is really interesting. Now, on Connected, we always feature best of breed partners, third-party companies that provide complementary technology to an operator using a PAM platform, whether it's ours or any other PAM platform in the business. But we feature companies that are integrated to Pragmatic Solutions and actively being used by our customers. Yours is a bit of an exception. We're in the middle of an integration with ThrillTech now, and I'm really excited to see your product come to market through our platform, but you've already been doing this with other operators in the industry. But it's not something that I have yet firsthand experience using. So today's conversation is actually one I've been really looking forward to because I want to learn more about your product. It's not something that I have all the detail around. So I think it's a really interesting space you guys are in. But before I go on talking about something that we haven't described yet, why don't we begin at the beginning? What is ThrillTech and how did it come about?
All right. Well, first of all, Ashley, thanks for having me. ThrillTech is a company that aims to build products that enhance players' natural product interaction. Now, what that means is every time we build something, we design it to make the player's core experience and their natural choices better. This is the narrative that we follow when we decide what we want to build and which problems to solve. The first thing that we wanted to solve, though, was to make jackpot technology more of a commodity for operators and enable everyone to launch a sustainable jackpot product for their brands. Our focus is to understand and solve highly complex business challenges that operators are facing and kind of prepare ourselves and the tech and the operators for the next stages that they're facing in their industry. Our team is actually quite interesting because it's composed of what I consider to be the perfect mix of B2C and B2B professionals, which also gives us quite an enviable advantage in not only being able to build fantastic technology and products, but also to ensure that whatever it is we're building is truly fit for purpose for our customers.
Okay, but jackpots, every operator offers jackpots. They're often organized and networked through the game providers. So yeah. What does ThrillTech do differently?
So you're right. Everyone has jackpots of one or another kind, but they're always via the game. What we offer is a jackpot platform that allows operators to create a jackpot that is their own, a branded jackpot, right? And they can offer that jackpot product over any user interaction. Usually the common case is offered over all of the games in their portfolio, right? And the jackpot is a side bet. So it's not part of the game. It doesn't take anything from the RTP of the game. It is an additional side bet. And that's what allows operators to, first of all, bring something that runs on the strength of their brand. Players already trust the brand, and now if they're bringing a jackpot that is branded as part of the operator and not just a game provider, players will have that trust. And so that's really what we bring. Now, jackpots, everyone understands the fundamental concept of a jackpot, And maybe over the course of this conversation, we'll dig into like how we've learned how much depth there is behind this very simple, fundamental concept.
Okay, so first and foremost, it's trying to stimulate player engagement and give another proposition for the player to participate in that's above and outside of the game that they're playing itself. So they could be playing a slot game that also has a jackpot, but above that, the operator is running sort of a global jackpot across their entire portfolio of content, and this game may also subscribe to that jackpot?
Yes. In fact, the way it works is the games aren't even aware that the jackpot is there, right? So yes, the operator can choose where to put the jackpot. Usually, they put it over everything that they have, right? So if you imagine a casino tab, and they have hundreds or thousands of games, whichever game that the player opens up, the operator jackpot, which is player funded as a side bet, is available to them to opt in or out of, right? And so it does become a side bet, and what we do is we make sure that the jackpot maths is something that resonates with the player. So there is not a single one of our customers that has the same jackpot. We build bespoke jackpots for every single operator, and we can only do that once we understand the audience, what the objectives are of the operator, what they want to achieve. And we firmly believe that jackpots, to be truly successful, need to be perceived by players as winnable. They need to believe that they can be won, right? So it's all good and well to have these 15 million or 20 million or 30 million euro or pound jackpots, but after a while people realize, well, it's really unlikely that anyone's going to hit that ever, right? Especially if they're not seeing that they're being hit. We want to focus on the more achievable values. So, and we do that not only by creating good maths, but also working with the operators to show and build confidence in the player base that they can see that jackpots are being won on a regular, frequent basis.
Okay, so, and if the jackpot contribution is made by the player, they opt in to the jackpot when they launch the game?
They opt in whenever they want. So the ideal user flow is that the jackpot, because it's an operator jackpot, it's just a product that the operator is offering, but they would be marketing it themselves, even on the lobbies, in the game pages, landing pages, and so on. When a player is introduced to the concept of the jackpot, once they understand how it works and what they can win and what the odds are, they can opt in. The opt-in is available ideally everywhere, as well as the opt-out. Once they're opted in, they can kind of forget about it. It's like a gym membership, right? You're in, and now you're participating. And then every time that they make a bet in the core product, which is the games of the game providers, an additional side bet is made on behalf of the player, which is the jackpot side bet.
And that side bet is a premium on top of the stake value in the game, or is it funded by the stake value of the game?
No, so there's nothing to do with the bet that goes into the game. It is literally a side bet. So, for example, if you're playing one of the slot games and you might be betting €1 per spin, and you're opted into the jackpot for 10 cents, you would be betting €1 to the game, and then an additional 10-cent transaction would be coming off of your account for the jackpot side bet.
And how is the jackpot then displayed? Is this something the operator would put in the header of the page or outside the frame that the game is loaded in?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because so usually it is put outside. It has to be put outside the game because we don't want to interfere with the UI of the game. We've built a massive library in Figma of user flows, positioning of the widgets themselves, which whenever we engage with a customer, we give them access to the entire library, and they can pick and choose how they want to move forward, or they can just use that as the basis for where they want to take the product from a visual perspective. Now, a lot of operators will either have it on the bottom bar or on the top bar, but some will have it as a kind of a slide out. You know, it all depends on what the experience is that the operator wants to present to the player.
So let me get this straight. So I integrate with ThrillTech. You have a back office where I, as an operator, construct with your consultation some jackpots to run across my casino. And I decide the events that will be the opportunity for the player to make a contribution, presumably when they make a bet in a game. But could it be other things? Could I earn an opportunity to play against the jackpot from events outside of the game, like when I make a deposit or by finishing KYC process or other things?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, first of all, Jackpot maths, we don't make that available to our customers to tweak or edit themselves. So we're in full control, but we work closely with the operator to create the maths, simulate it out, show them how the jackpot will perform over time.
No, but within your math models, I might have a small, a medium, and a
yes,
whatever, the large, for lack of a better creativity at the moment. But I could design the type of offering, the type of bespoke, on-brand jackpot offering I want to have.
Absolutely. Okay. And I'm glad you called out that it doesn't have to just be over a game. You can put it over any user interaction. So we have had our jackpot system be put over deposit flows to incentivize players to use particular payment.
Great idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything that a platform can generate an event from or for can be used as a driver for a jackpot contribution, right? You can put this over sportsbook, so you can put this over live casino, anywhere, right? One of the more outlandish examples that I try to use to give an example is you could even put it over CS conversations. That for every 100th smiley that is sent by a player, the 100th smiley gets €50 cash. This is the kind of stuff that.
Okay, so the point being that it's event driven. You can decide whatever event constitutes a try against the jackpot, but then it could either be funded by the player or funded by the operator or both. And my mind's going a little bit crazy here, thinking of things. Can I seed the jackpot if I want to? Create an attractive value from the start, and then have that be contributed up to could I put a must drop? This must drop when it hits 20,000.
Absolutely.
What kind of flexibility is there?
All of the things that you mentioned and more, right? Excuse me. So our standard approach to engaging with customers is to start with a player-funded jackpot. The reason we do that is, well, customers tend to trust you more when you're making them money, right? So once we get the player-funded jackpot in place, then customers start exploring the product a bit more. Of course, we support promotional jackpots like the other platforms do. Those are operator-funded jackpots. We support fixed odds. We support progressive mechanics. We support a lot. And yes, you can choose how the jackpot is seeded, how it's reseeded, how it's funded on each win. You can even choose how the bigger value jackpots are paid out. They don't have to go to a single player. You can actually reward the main winner with a large portion of the headline value. Mm-hmm. Then you can distribute the remainder to a variety of demographics. So we have this concept of community payout strategies, and we're continually building new strategies. You don't have to lock yourself into one strategy, though. So you might want to say, out of the remaining 30% or 40% of the jackpot, we want to give 20 random players that were active over the last week, just drop them 10% of what's remaining. But we want to reward players that were the highest contributors towards this instance of that pot that was won. So pay 50 of the highest contributing players another portion of that, and so on. And the strategies are getting more and more interesting, right? So we're about to announce a few more strategies in the coming weeks, which is kind of exciting. And the best thing is operators can just blend the various strategies together to create a payout experience and a winning experience for players that's quite unique to the brand.
So you've had this in the wild for a little while now. What kind of results are you seeing? Let's maybe give it some context. What kind of impact can this have on an operator's business? And is there a good example of a case study where you've had it implemented in a way that made a meaningful impact on a KPI that the operator was trying to use it to drive?
So what we see is that from the minute the jackpot goes live at an operator, players are curious, right? If they become aware of the jackpot, they're curious. The price point is so important. So we always work quite closely with the operator to understand what is the average bet in the vertical that the player is going to be experiencing the jackpot in. We then try and price the jackpot in such a way that it almost becomes a no-brainer to participate in it, right? And then what we've seen is that there is an immediate uplift, right? So everyone is interested. They opt in, and they start playing. Depending on the level of feedback, player feedback that the operator has created, for example, winner feeds, and how those wins get notified to the players participating, the resulting opt-in is kind of a function of that, right? So the more players trust in the jackpot, the more players will remain opted in, and the more engaged they'll be. The typical uplift that we've seen is approximately 10% starting at 10% or more in terms of GGR uplift, which I think is incredible for a single product to have that.
You mean that's a big number? That's a double-digit GGR uplift. So let's just unpack that a little bit. That's in that game session so you're saying, go back to your example where it was a euro bet per spin on a slot machine, and they've agreed to also have a 10 pence or a 10-cent contribution towards the jackpot. So you're saying that's already increased the turnover by 10%. And from there, is that where you get to, it results in a 10% GGR uplift, or is it bigger than that? Is it that over the player's lifespan or monthly value, you see a general uplift in player value?
It's the general uplift that we're seeing. And because of the way our GGR works in our product, it's really non-volatile GGR. So for every contribution, if the operator is running, let's say, a 75% or 80% RTP jackpot, I'm going to say almost guaranteeing that at the end of the month they're going to walk away with 20% of all the contributions made, right? The only thing that can really affect that is when a pot may be won prior to it being reseeded. So that will incur a bit of a cost out of that hold. But outside of that, that is one of the strengths of the product. We offer a non-volatile GGR product that, if marketed and communicated correctly, really does hold the attention of players and does increase the GGR quite dramatically.
I mean, those are some serious numbers. How are you seeing it used is there an example of a good implementation at what stage in the life cycle of the customer? Is this a new customer? Is it more impactful with new customers as a unique product experience with the operators that you have with this product live, or are they seeing this as something that is general, universe of players? Is it just general engagement, or is it a draw for re-engagement? Help me understand how do you use it properly? Because I could see this having an impact across all phases of the customer life cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly wish I had all the answers to the questions that you asked, but what we do have is one thing is that we don't see all the data about the player, so we don't necessarily know if it's a new customer, an old customer, an existing customer, etc. What we do see is when they opt in, when they opt out, how much they're actually choosing to opt in for. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but one of the unique features about our platform is players can actually choose how much of a contribution they want to make. So going back to our previous example where we had a 10-cent jackpot contribution, an operator could also offer multiples of that 10-cent contribution. So they could say, look, for 10 cents, you get one attempt at the jackpot every time you play. For 20 cents, you get a double attempt. Or for 30 cents, you get a triple attempt. So we offer this concept of an increased bet for an increased chance of hitting the jackpot, right? What we do see is that, and I think this is almost logical, when you have players that are min betting in the games, and the min bet is maybe 10 cent or 20 cent in the game, they're less likely to bet another 50% of that game bet into a jackpot, right? But when you have players betting 40, 50 cents, €1, €1.50, they're incredibly likely to also attach what they now consider to be an obvious additional side bet to their wager, right? And when you couple that with the mechanics that we really try to focus on, is that, to speak to your example, that 3-tier of small, medium, and big, or what we call minor, major, mega.
Better.
We like to see the minor jackpot hit very frequently, many times a day, right? And that's what we kind of aim for, in a way that obviously doesn't create cost to the operator, but also does create additional liquidity of funds going out of the jackpot into players, and then they reinvest them into the games, they reinvest them back into the jackpot contributions. Now,
if I as an operator wanted to use this as a reward, so based upon the amount that you stake, I'll give you free entries. Could I configure it that way, where the contribution to the jackpot is paid by the operator as
yes,
from a marketing budget, let's say, or a bonus budget?
Yeah, we do have the concept of jackpot free bets. And it hasn't been used yet, but it's busy rolling out. And the idea is that you can actually use jackpot free bets to incentivize players to just try out the jackpot, right? So, and there are a lot of gamification or mission tools that can be used to achieve the opt-ins. So if you opt into the jackpot, you get €1 or €2 worth of jackpot free bets, or 20 contributions, right? So that kind of gets the player into the product if you need more incentivization. So absolutely, operators can offer that. They can pay for the contributions. And obviously, if they can do the free bets in that model, they can also reward players with additional free bets into the jackpot. It's just an additional cost for the operator at that point.
So you touched on something earlier. You said you don't see who the player is or any identification information about the player to know if it's a new customer or an old customer or any other profile. So that kind of leads me to talking about the integration. So what do you need to connect to offer your service, and how heavy a lift is that for the operator that wants to integrate ThrillTech's jackpots?
So one of the things we focused on was to present an offering that could be kind of integrated in two different ways. We started off by presenting a self-hosted solution because we believed that the operators nowadays are more interested in data security and data privacy than ever before. And so we offer our technology as a technology that can be deployed by the operator into the operator's environment. And they are responsible for change management. Then we have no control. We have no access to the databases. We have no access to the servers. And the operator controls when they upgrade and which versions they upgrade to. We have an operator that's been running on a version that's 1.5 years old. They're super happy. They're still making money. They don't want to touch it, right?
Right.
So that's one version of it. The other version is a SaaS integration.
So Peter, in that version, you have no information that you're exposed to about average stake values or frequency of play of customers against these. You're just able to tabulate whatever it is the commercial model is between you and that operator, but the instance of your tech runs then independently for them, and it's entirely within their control and inside their domain.
Correct. The only type of feedback we get from those instances are reporting aggregates, so that at the end of the month we can reconcile with the operator.
Right. Got it.
For invoices, right? But outside of that, we are completely locked out of the tech, and by design, to give the operator full security and privacy on their data and how they use the platform.
Okay. Or you said you have another option.
Yeah. So we offer the standard SaaS solution. So we host the platform, and operators integrate. There's multiple integration options. We have, because it's an event-driven system, there's obviously a back-end integration which creates the jackpot bets. That's quite a simple point of integration, just making calls out to our API. Then we have the wallet integration. Now that can be one of two things. We have our own API, which a lot of operators tend to prefer to integrate because it's standardized, and we guarantee that all of our products in the future will work against that. Or we can do a reverse integration if it's not possible to consume ours. And then finally, it's about the front-end integration and receiving the jackpot update events, receiving the win events, being able to opt in. And we have really focused on providing different ways of integrating, because every operator stack is different, every platform is different. They have preferences, and I'm pretty happy to say that we have always been able to cater to the various preferences, and there's multiple ways of solving one piece of the integration to satisfy the operator's needs.
And I guess you'd want to publish and promote any win, because it comes back to that sort of trust. Players want to know that somebody's winning these jackpots, even if I'm not winning them. So you're publishing all win events as a stream that can be presented in the UI by the operator to create some sort of winners, integrated with whatever other winners streams that they have to promote that someone is getting the jackpot and you could be next.
Exactly. So we have the streams. We also have APIs for latest winners, right? So you can the front end can call an API and go, give me the 20 last winners on all of the jackpots, or give me the 20 last winners per pot, right? So you can really present this how you want. And then the events are just there to kind of create that excitement, like, oh, something's been won, someone's hit this. And it does
really cool.
Dynamic experience.
How did you come up with this?
To be fair, I kind of stumbled into it, right? I had been building a game server, a gaming platform, and there was a jackpot system as part of that. Blue Ribbon had actually validated this, right?
Right. Yeah, I remember.
They laid the groundwork for this. They did a brilliant job. They introduced it. But then, as we know, Blue Ribbon left the market. And so there was a niche, and it's not just us that are here, right? There are a few providers out there. We're aware of this. But I think it is a niche product. It is a new product. And but I do believe that over the next 12 to 18 months, having operator-level jackpots will become a commodity. It'll become the standard, not just a nice-to-have feature ad, right? It'll become a standard as part of a new brand or an existing brand.
And you mentioned that there are others offering similar types of products. So what do you guys look to do to stand out in that market?
So we just focus on building the best possible technology we can. We also understand that the tech being great is not good enough, right? You need to have a fantastic service team. You need to make the customers feel like they're important, like their business is important to you. And that's what we do. We stand out. So we have very strict SLAs. When there are technical issues, we try to get to the customer as quickly as possible and respond to those. We have ongoing dialogues. Every week we're speaking to our customers, understanding what's going on, what are they thinking, what do they want to do next. And so I think it's that service level that happens after the integration that we really excel at. We try and maintain the relationship. We build it. We build our relationships on honesty. We do not pretend to have something we don't, but we also don't shy away from boasting about the stuff we do have. And I think customers resonate quite well with that. Right? They know what they're getting. They can trust us. They love the product. It's making them money, and it's a win-win.
Peter, it sounds great, and we can't wait to have ThrillTech live on the Pragmatic Solutions platform. That's coming very soon, and then once integrated with us, as you know, you're integrated to every customer that uses our platform. So this is a product that any Pragmatic Solutions licensee will be able to take advantage of with just some commercial arrangements and specific production credentials arranged with you guys, but then they're good to go. I can't wait. I think it's a great product. Peter, before we close, there's a couple things on my mind. First is I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but the time has come when I have to say, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're watching this episode or any other episode of Connected and you want to hear more good conversations like this, please hit subscribe and make sure you hit the bell as well so that you know when we upload new episodes. See? So it's so cliche, but I had to fit it in somewhere. The second thing is, I know that you and I have talked about your card collection before, but anybody watching this video is going to either think you're the heaviest smoker in the world with every pack of cigarettes possible, but those aren't cigarettes. Those are playing cards. So just tell me about your collection.
Well, first of all, most people think that they're cassettes, which
okay, right.
arguably, depending on who you ask, is cooler, right? These are all playing cards from various designers. I've been collecting for years now, and unfortunately during COVID it became more of an obsession than a hobby, an expensive hobby, and this is what I've ended up with. So yeah, I
think it's so cool. And as we were talking about earlier, there's a resurgence in vinyl, there's a resurgence in cassettes, and I think something like traditional playing cards, you're going to have quite a valuable collection, if not already. Very soon. Peter, thank you so much. Somebody wants to get a hold of ThrillTech, thrilltech.io?
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Ashley.
And thank you for watching Connected. See you next time.